Hello everyone, it is almost time for IEM to start a 6-day event. That's a lot of StarCraft, but there's a reason it's so much StarCraft. It's because they do a very long open bracket stage alongside server qualifiers that they had a little while ago, which I did go over in a previous video if you want to check that out. But you don't really have to, because I'll be talking about who actually made it into the round of 24 already in this video, as I'm going to be going over the entire bracket. All the guessing that I'm going to do on camera, I'm doing also here in front of you guys, and a little bit of a discussion, hopefully, with some of you guys in the comments about what you think is going to happen for this IEM. And I'm going to even maybe do like a little bracket prediction contest or something like that. Who knows what you guys will win, but, you know, internet points is always good. So to start things off, let's go ahead and look at what we're looking at in terms of formats. So we're on Wikipedia right now, and we do have the server qualifiers already finished. They've already been seeded into the top 24, which you can see here, and they're waiting for the round of 76 players to go ahead and bump up to each individual group. So we're going to take a look at the brackets of the round of 76 rather, I don't want to say 64. In just a second, but we do have the 3 players. There we go. Top 3 players from each bracket advance to the main tournament group stage. So I'm going to go ahead and go over to the IEM website, actually, especially because it's dark mode, and I drastically prefer that. But yeah, so we did have a couple of people drop out. In fact, just today, at the time of this recording of the video, Scarlet dropped out and was replaced by Dream, as well as Broddick dropped out too. Don't know why, and it is a big bummer. I know a lot of people are looking forward to Scarlet participating, but we still have a lot of great players. So first and foremost, we have Group A here, and it is a double elim. So again, just like so much StarCraft they have to go through. You have top 2 advance to the upper bracket, bottom 1. Actually very similar to a lot of the server qualifiers they had set up. So I think we can already see a lot of really interesting names right here. So Hero Marine, Seoul, Denver, Estrella, Zaun, Patience. Just listing off some names that have gotten, very popular lately. SOS would be very popular, but like not necessarily very lately. Let's see. Mana is always a guy that everyone loves to cheer for. Of course, talking about the home field advantage for some of these guys who are actually Polish. And then we have Showtime at the bottom there. So I could talk a lot about every single player, but I'm not going to. This will take a very long time to go over if I did that. Rather, I'm going to talk about my predictions very quickly, as I can, for each individual bracket. So I think I'm going to go with the default choices here. Hero Marine and Showtime on opposite ends of the bracket will probably take both of these qualification spots into that round of 24. And then talking a little bit about maybe Estrella having a surprise performance. His PvP has been looking pretty good, so I'm guessing he beat Super. He's been in Korea training. Even Zaun actually play a lot. I think Zaun has a high chance of beating Patience. There could be an upset there, but Hero Marine's probably going to get out. And then as far as who gets sent down to the lower bracket, so everyone who's not here, Marine and Showtime, I think the person to make it through, and I can't really do the bracket work in my head immediately, but I think the person who's going to get through on that bottom one might actually be Estrella. At least, I'm going to be honest, that's kind of who I'm hoping for. He's been working really, really hard, utilizing his time in Korea, not just, eating and hanging out and drinking soju all day. He seems to have really improved in every aspect of his play as well. And the only thing I'm concerned about is that it is his first IEM and the nerves might get to him. So we'll see about that. But that's my predictions there. I think Mana also might get that home turf spirit and could do very well. But there's so many names that could do well in this bracket. I'm sure lots of people are going to say SOS should win. Maybe. Patience can sometimes surprise. Denver's on a tear on the ladder right now in Europe. There's a lot of ifs, but those are my 3 choices here: Marine, Showtime, and then Estrella from Group A or Bracket 1 or whatever they call it. All right, bracket number 2. A little less on the European side of names. But okay, let's quickly go through it. Nerchio and TLO, some old standing players. They've been in StarCraft 2 for a very long time. TLO's been boot camping and with Team Liquid, the rest of Team Liquid, including 2 unannounced players, for a while. Haas first cast, which is kind of funny. Impact can be an online warrior, but struggles in those offline tournaments. Innovation has a lot to prove right now, as his name just carries a lot of weight, and he's generally steady throughout every year he's been in StarCraft 2. 2019 really was not his year. Probe can always be surprising, but he has been a little questionable as far as his practice regimen. I don't know what he's at currently right now, but just throwing it out there. Goblin, I think someone like, Roddy's going to talk a lot about, but Bly has that chance to just upset anyone and everyone with his style of play. And then we do have Neeb here in the bottom side of the bracket. So Neeb versus Innovation would happen in their own side of their bracket, which is a bit disappointing. But I think Neeb beats Art. I think Neeb beats Goblin or Bly. And then does Neeb beat Innovation? Well, that's a tricky question, really. I would generally say no. Neeb's PvT has probably been his weakest throughout his career, with certain just dips in PvP and PvZ, along with difficult metas. But I want to say I believe in Neeb to actually beat Innovation. He's been playing in a lot of different server qualifiers, going back to that old Neeb that we kind of knew, just like playing all the flipping time. So it's gonna be interesting. Let's just go ahead and throw out the more risky choice, I guess, and say Neeb actually gets that spot. And then for the upper bracket, now this is a little more interesting because I really feel like they would usually weight Innovation to the top and Neeb at the very bottom. But let's see here. I'm going to guess Impact gets through for the finals. Armani can actually take them down in a couple of these online cups they play in a lot. But not very confident in the rest of the players. I know everyone's going to look at Haas, but I don't think he's going to get that far. So I'm going to say Impact there. And then the bottom bracket, obviously either Innovation or Neeb. Whoever loses to each other gets through there for my choice. Bracket number 3. We have Sue at the top. Ooh, Polton Special at the bottom. Okay, so lots of interesting players. A lot coming from the European scene here. So this one's more interesting on those EU players. So Sue clearly wants to get the same result as last year and actually win, but that's a very tall order. It was a little surprising he did that last year, not just because, Sue's second place, but just because he has been one of the most consistent StarCraft players ever, but it always feels a little bit like, oh, right, like he is just one of the most consistent StarCraft 2 players ever. Almost like a surprise every time. And then I think for 2019, he also didn't have that great of a year. So I'm not thinking he's going to win. But in terms of making out of this bracket, let's look at the top half here. Drogo's also been putting in a lot of work on the Korean server. So I think he's really improved a lot of his aspects there. I have high hopes that he would make it through. But then we have Bunny, who also is one of those online Terrans that just continues to rip through the brackets. He kind of came back after a while, started high, coming back, and then has kind of settled into like an okay Terran, but he could probably do something. DNS at this point is, I think, just worse than Drogo, so I don't think if it even does beat Risky. Risky actually took a game off of Innovation, was it? Or someone really good in qualifiers, but Sue, it might be a Sue Drogo, and then whoever wins, I don't know. It's actually tricky. No, I'm going to go with Drogo. I think Drogo takes the top. And then on the bottom, we have Dong Regu coming back. But Clem is on an absolute tear. It just seems like everyone agrees. He's just improved so much in the off-season. Namshar is actually a bit of a question mark as far as his schedule goes. He's been spending a lot of time in Canada, I believe, with his girlfriend. So I'm not sure about that. Hearthstone always has a year of Hearthstone, but, not actually. I think it's going to be between Clem and Special. I don't have very high hopes for Polt. I know a lot of you will. So, yeah, Clem, Special. Let's just say Clem takes it, and then Special takes the loser's round spot. Yeah, I'm going to go with that. And then last but not least, bracket number 4. We have Trap, who has a lot to prove. He got very close to qualifying to the server qualifiers at least twice, if not 3 times. And just kind of fell a little bit short. You got by parting, for instance, twice, and that was a big surprise. Sordo's been in Korea, but he has not been purely just, down at energy drinks and practicing in Korea. He kind of just lives there. He's a girlfriend there, so In the way that Drogo and Estrella seem to have drastically improved in the offseason, and a lot of that can be attributed to their time in a team house in Korea. I'm not sure sort of has really had the same effect. Lambo has a lot to prove, but has talked about motivation issues in the past, and a recent Team Liquid article actually talked about that. I think he always has a great chance to get through, but this could be a very tough bracket. Dream's going to be a tough opponent offline. Cuddle Bear's been doing okay, but just to give him up a TVT against Dream. Yeah. Sorry, Cuddle Bear. So I think Dream or Trap semifinal, and then I think Trap takes it to move on. And then Euthermal. Kelazur is like, he's been studying and practicing in Europe, in the Netherlands, and streaming a little bit recently too, but I don't know if his skill is really up there. Vindicta had a great time at Ozcraft, but in terms of stable performance in overseas tournaments, he's not really been proven yet. So I'd love for him to do well. I don't think it's going to happen. Deer, very weathered, skilled, experienced player. I think it would be Euthermal, Ragnarok, Kelazur, Deer, and actually kind of tricky. I want to have a lot of faith in Euthermal to make it through, but Ragnarok's been tearing it up. This one's actually very, very tricky. Let's say Euthermal takes that one, and then Lambo makes a comeback in the losers bracket to take third. Yeah, I think that's how I'm going to do that. In bracket number 4, no, that was bracket number 4. I'm dumb. Like, last but not least, then them. No. That does it for the bracket. So everyone who I just said got through, in my mind, would then go on to... Do they have it here? They do, actually. So they would go on to the groups, as you can see. But again, I don't have the direct, like, who gets seated in here and how they're going to do that, so I can't say what the groups are going to be. Like, if Lambo does make it through, which group does it go into? I'm not actually sure. But I'm going to look at the groups anyways, just who's already been seated in here, and talk a little bit about them and the expectations there. So let's take a look at the overall bracket when that does happen. So they do go into groups, of which it is a round robin, I believe. Round 24, round robin format. There you go. All matches best of 3. First to round of 8, second and third to round of 12, and then everyone else is out of there. Goodbye. So, still a very good chance to continue on. Yeah, that's still pretty good. So, top 3, bottom 3. That's basically what we're talking about, to elimination or continuation. So, fairly, even terms of a race here for the qualifiers, which people were kind of happy about. Lots of Zerg players, though. Still, more Zerg players than anything else. I don't know why I said even. That's not actually correct. There's actually twice as many Zerg. It's even between Terrans and Protoss. Anyways, yeah, that's a lot of Zerg. So we have Dark, who just gets invited because he won BlizzCon in the World Championship. Parting was a big surprise to come through. I feel like he was a little lucky. I think his win streak will stop when it comes to the group stage. No matter who else is put in here. Anyone else that I was talking about who would advance from those brackets, I think, has a chance to be parting. And then Dark and Stats are just 2 titans of players that would put him already third, even with these, players right here. And then, yeah, I think he'll lose to one of these guys. In Group B, we have Raynor, Rogue, Zest. So we have previous world champion Rogue, we have previous GSL champion Zest, and we have Raynor, who's been obviously dominating. Well, he's been neck and neck, I suppose, on the foreign scene, the non-Korean scene, with Cyril, really forming a rivalry. I think he sometimes can dip and then kind of bring himself back. So group stage, round robin stage will probably favor him. Rogue is just sometimes a wild card. It feels like he'll be either super turtley or super aggressive, super good, or just kind of meh. And Zest's a little bit scary as well. I say not super dependable as a big Zest fan, but he has been performing in a lot of the online cups, getting fairly far, and I think he feels good about the current meta, but Rogue's gonna bring out Swarm Host Nidus probably, and that's gonna be really tough. I don't know, this one's a hard one to call. I think whoever comes up from the bracket stages has a good chance to beat any of these players, actually. Whereas for this one, I feel it's a little more obvious that Dark and Stats are probably gonna get through. I want to say all these guys are pretty safe, but that's just not true. I wouldn't be honest. All right, Group C, a laser getting through in the European qualifier. I believe, was he seeded? I think he might have been. Maru making it through in the NA qualifier, actually, even though he was seeded into the Korean one. And Solar, I believe he barely made it. It was a bit tough for him. It was like lower bracket stuff. Not an easy run for him in those server qualifiers, but Maru, we all want to say, gets ahead, gets first place, but then we've all been disappointed by Maru before. A laser still, even 2 years after his BlizzCon performance, where he had some decent performances here and there, GSO versus the World, right, was very, very good for him, is still kind of proving himself, it feels. You know, like, it's just always like, well, did you just kind of do a good all-in, you know? I think he's a very good player and just needs a bit more, you know, top 8, top 4 finishes. Right, and then suddenly he's going to be the best Zerg, one of the best Zergs we can talk about. It's a good chance for Solo to probably prove his stance on ZVZ, Korea versus Europe. I'm going to guess some Zergs come in through the open bracket. We'll see about that. I do want to say Maru is safe, though. It's such a question mark with him because he can disappoint, because he doesn't play in online tournaments. He just kind of comes in, wins something, and you're like, oh, okay, he's still good. Gotcha. Which is what he did in the server qualifier. Whereas Solar has been rather dependable. He did struggle there. I think Maru's going to say at least number 1 or number 2. And then Group D, already pretty stacked, just having Cyril and TY in that group. I do think they stay in the top 3 to make it through. I do think Cyril gets number 1 to make it to the round of 8, easy peasy. TY 2, and Cure might get 3. He's been ripping it up on the ladder. Hi, Apollo. Not the ladder, rather, but the online tournaments. Looking really strong, but big question mark as far as offline performance. Big question mark. I'm looking forward to that. I do believe these guys are getting a decent amount of time. Like, well, these guys especially. Let's talk about that. These guys who are already seated in get an amazing amount of time to get over jet lag. Whereas the people going to the open bracket who aren't already in Europe, specifically the Koreans, or anyone maybe coming from like West Coast, North America, like they're going to have a bit of a tough time. And that includes, I believe, some of the Europeans and North Americans in Korea right now. So Special and Estrella and Drogo might actually be traveling from Korea. That could be tough for them. But these guys are going to be kind of a no problem situation. Otherwise, I think everyone's coming either Thursday or Friday is when they're leaving, so they arrive Saturday. Just still a day to get over jet lag. It's not long, but these players have had much, much worse, actually. So there we go. And then for the finals, again, we're doing a lot of guesswork because we don't know what's happening at every single stage. But continuing on, man, I think that we're going to have Rogue. No, we're going to have Raynor, Dark. Sorry, I actually think Maru's going to get knocked out at some point here. We'll see. I said he get first, so he should. I mean, he starts here, but we'll see. My favorite to win the tournament is Cyril. My second favorite to win might still be Stats, just because like he can be really iffy online, but then just be Stats and like win offline stuff. And yeah, okay. Raynor would love to have another finals appearance after BlizzCon because it was a disappointing BlizzCon because of the meta at the time, and it really seemed like not everyone was playing at their fullest potential just because of the issue of Korea to America in one tournament is always brutal. So I think he makes it here. Cyril's here, TY's here, Maru's here. I want to say Solar makes it through here as well, and then I want to give it to one more Protoss, maybe in like the open bracket. Coming through the open bracket. Hero Marine might do a good job making it all the way here. Oh, it's gonna be tough. I think my like perfect scenario is Cyril versus TY best of 7 finals, but since they're in the same group, we're gonna have to see how they do the seeding for round of 8. We'll see. But TVZ finals would be most amazing. Could we get this Rainer versus Cyril thing again? Possibly. Could anyone be upset? Absolutely. This is the first big premier tournament of 2020, and with the new system. It's been an off season for a few months right now, so could be a few question marks. But that just about does it. All right, that took a long time because there's a lot of StarCraft to go through. But guys, let me know your predictions. I might go ahead and update my predictions, I suppose, as we complete the open bracket and go into the groups and even into the round of 12. That will be found on my Twitter or on my Discord, where I will be using any off time that I might have to talk with you guys in the Tournament Talk channel. As a reminder, I will not be streaming this entire time because I am casting this event. So I hope I can bring good casts and entertain you. If you need some place to talk about the tournaments or catch up with tournament news, definitely check out my Discord, discord.gg/zombiegrub. As not only do we have a Tournament Talk channel, but these amazing people in my chat have been using a hashtag worth watching. In case you're like, I can't watch every single game here. I don't blame you. You really can't. But you want to see the good ones? Check that out. And as always, follow me on Twitter and on my Twitch channel, as well as this YouTube channel, where hopefully I can have some more cool casts for you guys, good analysis, and good original content. Thanks so much for watching. Again, let me know what your predictions are down below in the comments. And I'll see you guys for IEM. Bye-bye.